I never thought that I would one day find myself standing outside the home where I was raised, not because I was running late, not because I made a mistake, but only because I caused someone else to feel uncomfortable. It also took place on Christmas Eve, with a wind chill of less than 30 C during a snowfall. My mother only needed to say a few calm words, as gentle as ice but as sharp as a razor. Not today, my love. Olivia is struggling. Please don't enter. No embrace, no grin, no invitation. Between us, only the creaking of the wooden door. Arms full, I stood on the snowy steps, handmade gingerbread cookies in a woven basket, a warm cocoa thermos, and a small ukulele for the children I had never been able to refer to as my nieces. I donned a vintage wool scarf and my deep red winter coat, not to make a good impression, but because I'd always thought that being kind and welcoming would make me feel at home. However, that door remained closed. Pretending it was a poor joke, I forced a smile. "You're kidding, aren't you, Mom?" I spoke in a fragile whisper, almost audible. She took a while to respond. She simply looked over her shoulder and grabbed her coat tightly. Inside, I could hear the clink of glasses, the murmur of music and laughter. Then, leaning slightly closer, she murmured one more. "Olivia has been struggling recently. If you're here, she won't come down. All we're doing is attempting to maintain harmony." I only needed to hear that. Olivia. I have a half-sister, the youngest. Mom remarried. So this is the golden one. Olivia had always been sensitive, pretty in the sense of porcelain, soft-spoken in social situations but capable of tearing a room in two. She wasn't doing well at any point. Everyone in the house walked carefully around her as if she were made of glass. What about my mom? Like a shadow attempting to keep up with the sun, she shaped herself to fit Olivia's moods. Olivia stormed out of dinner last Christmas after I corrected her on a minor. She had mistaken Budapest for Prague. Nobody spoke to her at all. I was urged to apologize instead. I therefore assured myself that this year might be different. I had taken a 2-day break from my elementary school music classes. Mom stayed at the house I assisted in repairing last fall, so I made reservations for a 4-hour bus trip from Elk Valley to the icy hamlet of Crescent. I even bought firewood in advance to have it delivered before the storm hit. Extra dry foods were packed for the pantry. Mom once said that I looked like a Christmas storybook teacher because I was wearing the same red coat. I hoped that I might be invited in this time. I was mistaken. In actuality, I was never truly desired. Simply put, tolerated. Similar to a spare room that is only noticeable in cold weather. During the winter, it was me who kept the lights on. When the pipes froze, the person phoned the plumber. The person who co-signed Olivia's SUV since she couldn't miss work and had no credit. The daughter wasn't me. The sponsor was me. I turned to face Mom. She refused to look into my eyes. She wasn't upset. She was terrified. I'm worried I'll annoy Olivia, worried that Christmas will be ruined by Olivia breaking again. I gave a nod. I whispered, "Well then, have a quiet Christmas." The first spoke softly. However, each phrase struck like icy steel. I took my phone out of my purse and launched the banking app on it. My fingers moved with serene accuracy. Cancel delivery of firewood, $280. Cancel the $410 winter electric payment. Terminate your satellite subscription in my name. Cancel the snowmobile maintenance service. I turned off the systems I had silently continued to operate one by one. I turned around and left. The deep snow left crisp, clear tracks from my boots. I got no calls. "Sophia, wait," no one said. Nobody ventured outside to inquire on the situation. The lights flickered behind me. The wind screamed. Additionally, I've never in my life I didn't turn around. I wasn't depressed. I wasn't at fault. I was finished. I had just set a modest hard time limit. About the punishment I had endured for far too long, the daughter who consistently provided, consistently showed up, but was never ever observed. I didn't immediately return to my tiny rental home close to Elk Valley. Rather, I pulled into the parking lot of a frozen lake, a peaceful area where I would frequently strum my small guitar after work, and allowed the silence to weigh me down like a heavy blanket. After removing my gloves, I took out my phone and reopened the banking app. Like a mute reality staring me in the face, the screen shone in the darkness. Total funds sent to my family during the previous 14 months, $9,870 in Canadian currency. I didn't scream. I refrained from crying. I merely gazed. It validated my instinctive knowledge. My bleeding had been gradual, and nobody had noticed. For what did I pay? Between $280 and $400 a month for electricity in the thick of winter, when their aging generator was unable to keep up with demand. $230 a month for prearranged firewood deliveries to prevent freezing. Olivia needed to relax her mind, so she turned on satellite TV. I co-signed the insurance for Olivia's armored SUV. My name was on it. Moreover, what about that? Because Olivia loved classic animation, she signed up for Disney Plus Premium for emotional healing, according to Spotify. Mom's entire round-trip airfare to Vancouver for self-care. I clearly recall Mom whispering to me during the midnight call, "I don't want to disturb you, Sophia, but Olivia's tires are bald. Please help. The roads are quite icy." Within an hour, I sent $780. Didn't pose inquiries. Didn't request gratitude. Nobody returned my call. Nobody asked, "How are you?" The roof began to leak last winter. A contractor from a town 70 kilometers away was engaged by me to fix it before the snow grew worse. The entire amount was paid up front. Olivia shared the following on her Instagram story a week later. Christmas bliss fireplace glowing, gingerbread baking. I was wrapped up in 2 blankets in my rented place. I'm staring at my overdraft alert while eating fast noodles. I can vividly recall what Olivia said about me during a brunch on New Year's Day. She believed that I had gone outdoors to answer a phone call. She spoke to a cousin in a whisper. Sophia always appears to be in the control of someone. Lack of a spouse, children, and a long face. She does, however, have money. Thus, she remains valuable. Mom had heard it. She didn't stand up for me. She simply took a drink of her tea and answered, "Your sister is simply exhausted, Olivia." Yes. I was worn out, but not due to employment. I was sick of bearing the burden of everyone else while remaining inconspicuous. Once, while eating dinner at a little Indian restaurant close to my school, I gave Olivia a quick glance and murmured softly, "That whole fortunate you don't have kids thing. You probably feel no remorse about texting me for money whenever you want because of this." She grinned. "Don't pretend to be a martyr. You feel in control when you pay your expenses." I recall the water glass quivering a little in my grasp. I didn't argue, though. I grinned. Similar to the good sister, as I always had, right up till tonight, in the snow. "Please don't come in," Mom urged. "Olivia is struggling." Then it dawned on me I never belonged to that family. I was the fallback option, the quiet bank, the backup generator. In my hand, the screen of my phone sparkled. Another cancellation was added by me. Terminate the $187 month SUV service plan. I locked the screen after that. The light went off, and I raised my gaze to the frozen lake in front of me. Under the winter moon, its surface is dark and smooth. I refrained from crying. I refrained from screaming. I simply watched my breath fog up the windshield while I sat in my car. Furthermore, for the first time in many years, I wasn't afraid of the silence. Truth was what it felt like. I had just filled my chamomile tea with hot water. Suddenly, my front door was rattled like thunder by a hammering knock. I almost spilled everything. Stepping carefully to the door, I peered through the peephole. 3 individuals, crammed into my apartment complex's tiny corridor. Mom, Lily. My stepfather is David. Olivia, too. I wasn't shocked. I was expecting a call. I was surprised that they really showed up. I took a while to open the door. Once more, I allowed them to knock. And once more. It had an oddly symbolic feeling. Every time they made a loud demand, always thinking I'd respond. Then Mom's shrill, high-pitched voice came out. "Sophia, get the door open! You're acting so absurd!" David's voice echoed loudly behind her. "We're acting as though we're in the Stone Age. No TV, no power, no heat." Olivia banged frantically on the door. Her fist might go through the wood, I thought. "Leave it open. Is it really true that you cut off some bills and caused the entire family to freeze?" Olivia was about to knock again when I opened the door. She almost fell in. I said quietly, keeping the door only partially open. You are welcome to enter. However, I will contact the police if someone's voice becomes louder than 3 decibels. No grin, no shaking hands, just a steady, peaceful presence. In an instant, my small apartment became a battlefield. Mom burst into tears. Like a bear in a cage, David paced the room. Olivia then exploded, as was to be expected. Who are you, in your opinion? If you feel excluded, you can't just shut everything off. I didn't wince. Rather, I took out my phone, swiveled the screen in their direction, and displayed to them the complete list of ongoing fees, payments, upkeep, subscriptions, and transfers. I'm not injured, I declared. I'm accustomed. And I terminated it at last. David made an effort to diffuse the situation. Sophia, it's not that important. Yes, we did rely somewhat on you, but only due to our faith in you. I arched an eyebrow. Since you were laid off in 2020, I've spent more than $26,000 to maintain your home. Mom visited spas. Olivia attended retreats. My card was used by everyone without my permission. Is that what you mean by a little? Mom's voice broke. I didn't mean to, you know. I interrupted calmly but firmly. No, Mom. You simply thought I would never refuse. You're accustomed to it. Olivia moved forward, her gaze piercing. So what? Do you want us to bow down and plead? I didn't respond. I simply strolled up to my workstation, from a pile of printed documents, and set them down before her on the table. There's no need to plead. Simply sign. What is this? She yelled. I said, it's the SUV lease transfer. You have 30 days to transfer ownership of the car to yourself. I'll then notify the lender to put the account on hold. Olivia turned pale. You must be joking. I am not eligible for a loan by myself. Without blinking, I said, not my problem. I made an effort to assist. You treated me like an idiot with that. I'm done now. I looked at Mom. Netflix, Spotify, Amazon Prime. Everything was canceled. Do not attempt to log in. Tomorrow, I'm deleting every gadget and changing all the passwords. David struck the table with his palm. Your own family is being punished by you. I gave him my full attention. No, I am liberating myself. This isn't a penalty. This is freedom. It isn't that I don't care for you. I simply won't be used anymore. There was silence in the room. The silence that follows a lightning strike. Maybe, I thought, just maybe, someone would say something truthful. Perhaps a sincere apology. Perhaps regret. However, Mom merely muttered, softly crying, You'll be sorry for this. You can't turn your family on and off like a light switch. Slowly, I nodded. Perhaps not. Self-respect, however, is, and I switched it on tonight. Following their departure, Olivia, David, and Mom, similar to a chilly wind gusting through a peaceful space, I remained motionless. I refrained from crying. I didn't pass out. No one was yelling or hurling objects. The only background noise is the kettle's continued hissing, and the dim light from the lone lamp above my couch. I anticipated feeling abandoned. However, I didn't. I anticipated feeling remorse. However, I didn't. I experienced a sense of calm. I didn't switch on the television. Didn't play depressing tunes. I didn't check social media to see if there were any posts about me. I merely sat there. Keep quiet. Complete. By himself, not lonely though. I had a little used guitar in front of me that I had purchased for $60 in Craigslist. Since I had brought it home, I had seldom touched it. Easy to learn was written on a sticker on the side. I stared at it for a while. Then I grinned. For the final time, I opened my phone again and signed into all of the accounts I had been paying for covertly throughout the years. Netflix, Spotify, Amazon Prime D Disney Plus plan for a family cell, Peloton. Olivia never used a meditation app too. One by one, take out the device, password reset, stop auto-renew. It felt like an unseen cord was being cut with each tap. Not in retaliation, but not yet available. I had been living in a condition of emotional emergency for years. My pulse raced when Mom texted me late at night. I felt as though I had to complete a math problem right away when I received a payment alert. A call from home wasn't considered a check-in. It was a new duty masquerading as affection. Now, though, nothing. No messages. No calls were missed. There was no email follow-up stating, "We need to talk." Simply be silent. Lovely, lovely silence. I started tidying up my tiny apartment, arranging documents, cleaning surfaces, folding blankets for me. Not for visitors. I didn't just go back there after work anymore. It was home, since I at last felt like I belonged here. I switched off my phone that evening. Not because I was upset. It wasn't that I wanted to exclude anyone. However, because I didn't have to wait for pardon, for picking myself. I woke up earlier than my alarm the following morning. Silent golden streaks of sunlight seeped through the glass. Everything was quiet. I brewed some tea for myself. A vanilla candle was lit. Slightly opened the windows, allowing a cool enough wind to remind me I was sufficient and I was alive. I removed the guitar stand, seated near the window, and performed the first complete song I had mastered in its entirety, the silent sound. It's funny, actually, because I used to be afraid of stillness. In the past, it meant desertion. Now, though, freedom was what it meant. It was the first time I had heard my own voice. It was 3 days later. Nobody made a call. Nobody sent a text. My door was not knocked on. No excuses were offered. No making amends. No requests to come back. And the most peculiar thing was, I didn't feel left behind. I was liberated. I began taking small actions, things that others didn't consider milestones, however, to me. They changed people's lives. I got a new thermos for myself, wood cap, dark olive green, inscribed with a solitary line, "Those who create warmth are entitled to it." I placed it like a little monument on the windowsill in my kitchen. For your information, this winter, I would be the source of the heat in my life. I enrolled in a beginner's photography class that weekend, near Elk Valley at a tiny community center. Not very fancy, only 3 hours on Sundays. Upon holding the used DSLR in my hands, like a child slipping out of class for something thrilling, my heart skipped a beat. No pressure was present. Nobody is requesting outcomes. Nobody to impress. It was just me, the shutter click, and the light click, click, click. I took pictures of everything. My tea mug is releasing steam. A lone pine tree in the middle of the snow. An old wooden fence is crossed by a squirrel. Nothing new. For social media, nothing. Just evidence that I was there at that precise moment, without requiring authorization. On a Sunday afternoon, sipping hot chocolate at a peaceful downtown cafe, behind me, I heard a voice I recognized. "Sophia? Is that you?" She was there when I turned. Melissa, my former roommate from college, one of my best friends from another life. Once, we had been inseparable. Study evenings. Travel by car. Confessions made late at night. However, I had gradually vanished from her life, overly preoccupied with becoming the dependable oldest daughter. I was never seen by my family. We spoke for hours, about recollections from the past, about the changes, about our new selves. Additionally, once I told her everything, nor embellished, nor romanticized, just the truth, she said as she took my hand, "I have never met someone as courageous as you." No, not because you left, but because you made your own decision. I didn't switch on the television that evening. I refrained from scrolling. I didn't send any texts. I opened an ancient leather diary instead and began to write, not for likes, not for approval, only for me. I composed tales about a woman in a city coated in snow, a cabin with a burning heart, but no fire, wounds that pained deeply in the bones, but did not bleed. Nobody made any edits. Nobody passed judgment. Nobody spoke up. For Sophia, I wrote, the me who had lost the ability to speak following years of speaking loudly for everyone else's needs. I'm going to a winter book fair downtown next week. I'll snuggle up on the couch tonight. Make me another hot chocolate mug and go over my stories again, not to make changes to them, but to respect each and every word I dared to say. I had just returned from a photography lesson that day. I swung my camera bag over my shoulder, with a hot cocoa cup in hand, with a silent grin inside my chest as I reflected on the picture I had taken that morning of sunlight passing through glass. However, upon arriving at my flat door, I froze. It was there. The door was taped with a simple white envelope, using a piece of transparent Scotch tape. No name of the sender, no label for delivery. One line in a handwriting I'd known my entire life, from Mom. I took a while to open it. I gingerly took it off. Like a paper snowflake that may break if I gripped it too tightly. I held it in my palm. I entered. Put down my camera, poured cold water into a glass. After that, I simply sat with it, as though awaiting the bravery to end a quiet that had oddly taken on a hallowed quality. Only when the sky was completely dark and my living room's walls were long shadowed by the city lights. Did I open the mail at last? Sophia, I have no idea where to begin. Furthermore, I'm not even sure whether you'll read it. I would like you to know, though, regardless of how furious you are, regardless of how far you go, you remain my daughter. If you ever forget that, I won't. I am aware of my errors. Perhaps the first relied too much on you. Perhaps I didn't shield you from Olivia's remarks. However, I am your mother. I'm not flawless. But you are loved by me. It's not quite clear to your dad. Olivia is still quite young. She lacks self-expression skills. However, I think we all secretly understand how important you are. Since you departed, the house has changed. The water supply was cut off. The Wi-Fi stopped working. It's been a complete mess. However, it's not solely due to those factors. It's because you're no longer there. I still have you in my blood, and it will be forever. Regardless of your forgiveness, Mom, I folded the letter. On the coffee table, place it, and simply sat. Don't cry, not a drop, and no rage, just tranquility, calm, peaceful silence. When my mother eventually uttered, I love you, I used to dream that I would weep uncontrollably, that I would collapse in her embrace, that I would once more feel complete. However, now that I have that letter, all I could feel was silence. It wasn't resentment, it wasn't numbness, clarity was the key. The words were no longer necessary for me, since I no longer occupied the area where they could make any repairs. I could have survived without an apology. I love you wasn't necessary for me to feel genuine. I had silently kept this family together for years, and I didn't need delayed acknowledgement to prove it. I used to wish I could be noticed, to be recognized, to hear the phrase part of the family spoken aloud, to be selected. Now, though, I had made my decision beforehand. I was on my way already, and I was all right. A vanilla candle was lit by me. Warm, soothing light flickered through the room. I grabbed my guitar. I performed to build a home, the most recent piece I had been learning. In front of the mirror, I stood, looked directly into my eyes. Don't panic! Not a secret pain! Don't look for approval. Only me, at last steady. Mine at last. I put the letter from my mother back on the table, gently, like an old, long since expired receipt. I wasn't shaken by it. I wasn't moved by it. It was too late. I thought for a long time that the bravest thing I could do was to forgive. Remaining silent was part of being the bigger person. Despite the pain, strength was enduring. However, I was mistaken. Knowing when to let go is a sign of true strength. It's being brave enough to say, I no longer benefit from this. I was no longer the daughter who paid winter bills in silence. The woman who fixed frozen pipes is no longer there and sent money without saying thank you at midnight. The reliable one wasn't me. The one with money wasn't me. I was myself. Additionally, for the first time, that was sufficient. My name is Sophia, 28 years old, living alone, in a community that doesn't expect much of me, in a tiny flat. However, in this area, at last, I pose a question to myself, not living because of duty, but out of a desire. Every morning, I practice playing the guitar, not due to the expectation of a song during dinner, but because I find joy in it. I visit the farmer's market on Sundays, purchase freshly baked bread from an elderly German couple, and take pictures of tea glasses steam rising. I write, not for anybody else, for the version of me only who, at one point, forgot she could talk. I was a supporting character once. In the drama, The Perfect Family. Right now, the author is me, the front. I've got the whole stage. At night, I light candles. Not to win over a visitor, but because I enjoy the scent of vanilla and cinnamon. I drink sugar-free chocolate. Take your time reading literature. Grin at the mirrors. Without waiting for approval from others, I don't need any kudos now, since I at last think I'm worth it. Somewhere out there, I know they could say, Sophia lacks gratitude. She was reared by us. We assisted her. She also abandoned us. Permit them. I didn't leave anyone behind. I just quit running away from myself. Additionally, if you are still reading this, moreover, if you've ever thought you're too responsible, too silent, too easy to be liked, I'll tell you something. The end is not silence. It might be the start. Imagine an existence in which you can exist without permission. I don't live for love anymore. I adore myself, which is why I'm here. I'm not standing at the door anymore. I've constructed a house by myself, and I've given it the name me.